Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to this session where we are going to discuss how to set relationship boundaries with love, without any guilt and without any drama. So, a quick round of introduction. I'm Sajna Binil. I'm an emotional intelligence trainer and a certified life coach. I'm also the founder of Interactive Learning Solutions, a platform that is deeply engaged in helping people move from non-IT to the IT world. So I come from the IT world with 25 years of experience in IT. And from IT, I've moved into life coaching and started coaching my students on the personal front. So I work on a lot of emotional intelligence tools and NLP tools, and help people become a better version of themselves. So that's a quick introduction. Now, tell me in the chat window quickly, do you ever find it hard to say no, even when you want to? Suppose you want to say no to something, but you find it very, very difficult to say no. When I say talk about setting boundaries in relationship, they feel the other person might feel that I'm selfish. I'm selfish, and I'm not worthy of asking my own space, time, and respect. So that's what we are going to talk about. These are the two things that we are. If you see, the first question comes from our constant thought process of being a people pleaser, where even if we want to say no to something, we'll hesitate to say no, thinking that, okay, I don't want to hurt that person. I don't want to make that person angry. Hmm? The second question, whether you feel that the person will think that you're selfish, that comes out of guilt. Okay. That comes out of guilt that I might be labeled as a selfish person. So in this session, that's what we are going to delve into. What boundaries really are and why guilt shows up when we try to say no. How can we assert ourselves to say no whenever we want to without sounding rude? We don't want to sound rude, right? We don't want to hurt anybody. So simple phrases, we will learn some reframing of the sentences that can help, that you can use in your day-to-day life whenever you want to say no to someone. Okay, so you will walk away with clarity, confidence, and calmness, ready to show up in your relationships from a place of strength and love. Okay, from a place of strength and love, where you have the strength to say no whenever you want to, and you are also lovable at the same time. You're not hurting the other person, not being rude to the other person. Understand what setting boundaries is all about. Now, many of when I talk about this particular session, whenever I have taken this session in the past, people feel, okay, setting boundaries. What is she talking about? I don't want to distance myself from my near and dear ones. How many of you feel that setting boundaries is distancing yourself from your near and dear ones? Type me in the chat box if you think so, because that's not the case. As human beings, we are a social animal, guys, which means we need to have relationships, and our relationship reside in our heart. Okay, and we need to have lovable relationships in our life. So setting boundaries does not mean that you will be creating distance with the people in your life. No, that's not the essence of it. That's not the meaning of it. If that's what you have presumed it to be, that's not the meaning. When we say setting boundaries, it's not about distancing yourself from anyone. So setting boundaries, first of all, is not about creating distance. It is about building a healthy, a loving space where you can breathe and grow, as well as the other person can breathe and grow, and without guilt, without fear, without sounding rude, without any emotional drama, both of you can have your own space to do whatever you want to do and still have respect for each other. So that's number one. Remember, setting boundaries, it's not creating distance. It's about having your own space where you can breathe freely and grow and do the things that you want to, as well as you allow the other person also to do the same thing. And you have a very cordial relationship between that person, whoever that person might be, your parents, your siblings, your in-laws, anyone. Okay. So that's what it is all about. So this is the starting point for you to understand what setting boundaries is all about. Okay. So let's learn to choose peace over pleasing people. Okay. You might have seen several people, even you might be one of that person who might be constantly feeling that I need to always please the people around me. Let's not be a people pleaser, because many of you, all of you, I would say, will agree with to the fact that how much ever we try, how much ever hard we try, it is not possible for us to keep everybody happy. Is it possible, guys? Yes or no? Type in the chat box. Is it possible to keep every person in your life happy? Even if you want to? No, absolutely no. So let's accept the fact. It's not possible. It's not possible as human beings to keep everyone. There will always be some people in your life who will be unhappy with you. Okay, so let's accept that fact and go ahead, because that then removes a lot of guilt from inside us. Now, why boundaries matter? Now that we have understood what boundaries we are talking about, why boundaries matter? Now, boundaries, like I said, is not distance that you're creating between your relationships. So boundaries are not walls. Don't look at boundary as a wall. No, that's not true. They are bridges. Look at a boundary as a bridge that helps you establish a healthy connection. And what happens when you don't have boundaries in a relationship? When you do not have boundaries in a relationship, there are turbulences. There are several instances when there are misunderstandings, right? You might have not meant something, but the other person took it in a different sense. How many times you have said something in a very good intention, but the other person took it in the other sense? And then you end up saying, Ari, you know me since so many years. How can you take it in the wrong sense? We all go through these arguments with some relationship or the other, right? But what happens is, because we do not have boundaries, we live in this constant burnout zone where whenever there are some misunderstandings, we start blaming each other, we start hurting each other. Sometimes some people get very extremely angry, some become sad, some become quiet. Two major categories you will see when there are turbulences where in your life, certain situations, certain misunderstandings. Some people get extremely angry, they start yelling, shouting. There's another category of people in the same situation, they become silent, they become quiet. But what's happening there inside them is a larger battle, that the person who's shouting and yelling might be at least letting out his emotions. He's releasing his emotions. He's making the other person aware that I don't like this. But the person who becomes quiet is more, harming himself, because he's suppressing his emotions. So without boundaries, you will see that you are constantly in a burnout zone and constantly confused. What did he say? What did she say? Why did this happen in life? I did not mean all this. How did I land up in a mess? That's the kind of confusion you'll always be in. With boundaries, we feel safe. We as well as the other person. When I say we, it is both the parties. We feel safe. We are respectfully with each other. I already mentioned when I started the presentation, two aspects. One is guilt, which keeps on eating you, where you feel the other person might perceive me as a selfish person who wants his own space and time. So this is coming from your past conditioning. Okay. Many of the mothers here, many of the new mothers, especially, I would say, new mothers go through this guilt zone when they are looking for their newborn infant, when they need to have their me time, okay, time when they want to read a book, listen to their favorite music, or watch their favorite TV serials, whatever is that they like to do, that's their me time, right? But when you newly become a mother, you get a lot of responsibilities of that child. And this guilt starts at that particular time when the me time we are actually allowed to have, we feel, no, we will, that will make me look selfish. My child is my priority. And I'm actually not eligible for this me time anymore. Right? You start feeling that. You start feeling insecure. You start feeling guilty about having that me time which you used to have before your child, thinking that, okay, I cannot do this anymore. All my time belongs to my child. That's a quick example where you start feeling that you're feeling guilty of having your own space. Similarly, fear. So guilt is one example that I gave you. Fear comes with the thought that if I set a boundary, that person might get angry, leave me, I might lose that relationship. So two dominant emotions that play when you try to set relationship boundaries is guilt and fear. I gave you an example of guilt. The example for fear is the thought that comes to your mind, which says that if I set boundaries, this person might stop loving me, or this person might get angry on me. I don't know how he's going to behave, how he's going to react, and he might leave me permanently. That fear. Okay. So once we understand what's the emotion that's playing around this, then we are able to work on those emotions and bring ourselves to a point where we can set those healthy boundaries. When this guilt and fear comes into your mind, remind yourself that you are not responsible for someone's reaction. If you have an inherent fear inside you, how that person will react to it if I say that I want my own space, and I'll give you exact phrases how to say it. I'm just giving you an example right now. If I tell that person I want my own space, enough of this, will that person get extremely angry? Will he become violent? Will he leave me permanently? When this thought comes to your mind, keep in mind this point. You are not responsible for someone's reaction. You can only be responsible for communicating your decision with love. Okay, not with rudeness, not with arrogance, but communicating your decision with love. That is the only thing, that is the only responsibility that you can take. Like I always tell in my sessions, guys, we cannot control other people. So never ever think about controlling the other person's reaction. How can I control that person's reaction? If I set boundaries, he might react in a particular way. How can I ensure that he does not react in that? No, you can't do that. You don't have control over that person's emotion. You have control over only your emotions. So you can ensure that you communicate to that person with love and respect rather than being rude and arrogant. Now, the types of boundaries. Okay, this is an important slide. I will bring up the slide so that you can note this down also. What are the types of boundaries? Now, people set different types of boundaries, and this is how it should be. We have to create different types of boundaries. Number one type of boundary is time boundaries. Okay, these are often the kind of boundaries that we set in our office, workplace, where we tell them that I'm not available at this specific time of the time of the day. For example, several managers and leaders have this habit of blocking their lunch time or their tea time, whatever they prefer. They block it in their meeting calendar for the entire month, they keep it blocked so that nobody else schedules a meeting during that particular time. Otherwise, when people see a particular slot available in your meeting calendar, they go and book it irrespective of whether it's lunchtime. So your lunchtime is gone. So time boundaries, very, very essential. You'll see a predominant occurrence of this in workplace, but of course you can put the time boundaries even in your personal life, where you can set specific time with your own children, specific time with your spouse. Yes, you can do that. When you're trying to juggle between your work, professional life and personal life, you need to set time boundaries even in your personal life. Emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries are very essential when you start seeing turbulences in your very close relationship. Like so some of my clients had spoken to me about certain relationship problems that they had, where some of their relations were extremely abusive, verbally abusive, you know. So this particular client came up to me and said that, I'm on a daily basis, in my house, I never used to hear these kind of words, but my the the house that I got married, it's people here are verbally very abusive, and I kind of can't take it anymore. It's creating a lot of stress in my mind, because we in the place that I grew up in, I never even got to hear these words. These are quite heavy, very abusive words that they use. So a healthy boundary that she set, whenever these kind of words were thrown at her, she started using this phrase very calmly, very soft spokenly. I'm not okay. I'm not okay with being spoken to like this. So very calmly, but yet sternly, she used to say, I'm not okay with being spoken to like this. We will speak more when you calm down. And she used to exit that situation. Emotional boundaries, very, very essential when you are working with, when you're dealing with people who are a little more difficult not to handle. Energy boundaries. Energy boundaries. Look at that sentence. I need space to recharge and I will come back. What are energy boundaries, guys? There are times in your life when you feel absolutely tired. You might be tired out of a physical activity, or maybe you did something emotionally draining. But it's good to tell people, when you are tired, it's good to tell people that I need some space to just recollect my thoughts and I will get back to you. Many times it so happens, right? People out of the blue come and talk about some issues or the other, and you're just not prepared. You might be just coming out of your gym or some other activity, and someone comes and talks to you about an issue that happened in the building, or a production issue that happened in the workplace, and you're like, come again, because you're not in a state of mind to absorb that. Energy boundaries. Digital boundaries, very, very important. Please don't message me after 9 p.m. unless urgent. This is again very, very essential in the workplace. I set these digital boundaries with some of my close friends also. My close friends who I meet on a regular basis also. There was this WhatsApp group where we keep chit-chatting. Chatting about our family or something about the workplace. So as I got busy with my schedule, my chit-chatting in that group became very, very less. Obviously, some of them felt a little hurt. She used to always, pass her opinion about the topics that are being discussed. But now there's nothing coming from her. So I set this digital boundary. I told them very clear. My work timings are between 9 to 7 p.m., 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. During this time, guys, you will not see any message from me. Okay, please suggest you will not see any message from me during this time. I check all my WhatsApp messages by 9 p.m. and I'll respond back to it. Okay, they understood it. Very politely, I said they understood it. There was a time when I had lots of free time. At that time, during the afternoon, also, I did a lot of chit chatting with them. But as our workload increased, it was not possible. It was just not possible. So some of them felt hurt that they used to tag me and write messages. Sajna, what's your opinion about this? Sajna, we are going out here to eat. Are you willing to come here? I miss all those messages because I'm working. We want to get a count for our next party. Are you coming? Are you in? No message from Sajna. So they were like, hey, what are you doing? We are going to throw you out of the group. I said, hold on, guys. There's no need to throw out. Okay, I'm there with you. I'm listening. I check my messages towards the end of the day. Be patient with me. Please be patient. My workload has increased extremely. Okay. So by the end of the day, by 9 p.m., 9:30, you will receive reply to whatever get together you're organizing. They understood. These are some script examples. Take a look at this, which you can use in your day to day. Because many of the people, when we talk about relationship boundaries, people say how to communicate to the other person. That's the reason I give the script examples. Just like the digital boundary that I just gave you an example about how I set it with my friends group. I told them exactly this. I understand how this is making you feel. You feel that, I'm not concerned anymore. That's not the case. I'm still your friend. I read all your messages towards the end of the day. Okay. So that's the first script example. I still need to do what feels right for me. So what did I say? Right now, my workload is more. So I need to complete that workload. If I engage in conversations like this, I cannot focus on my work, which means my performance will deteriorate. I believe as a friend, you wouldn't like that to happen, right? So towards the end of the day, I will reply back to your messages. So I've just created a boundary. I have not thrown them out of my friends list because they are chatting constantly and it is irritating me. I've not done that. These are beautiful ways of setting boundaries with people who are still there as part of your life. Look at the other statement. I care about you, but I need you to honor myself too. The third one, let's speak when both of us are calm. This is one statement one of my student used when I told you that example that there was a lot of verbal abuse in those relationships that she was into. So she used this boundary statement. Let's speak about this when both of us are calm, when both of us are in the right state of mind. Don't make it sound rude. Don't make it sound arrogant, but have the right essence of firmness to it. Now, there is a technique called as NLP. Some of you must be knowing is widely used. NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. Okay. This is a reprogramming of your mind. Okay. So based on the emotional patterns that we carry, guys, there are certain ways in which we think. Okay. So, like I always say, different people react to the same situation differently. That's based on their emotional pattern. That's based on their thought patterns. So, NLP is a reframe technique that helps you reframe certain thought patterns that you might be having. For example, if you're someone who constantly thinks, if I say no, I will hurt them. If that's a thought process, like I gave you a couple of statements in which you can very calmly and very politely create a boundary. But if while doing that, if the thought process that's coming to you is, if I say no, I will be hurting them. Reframe that in your mind. If I don't say no, I will be hurting myself. Isn't it? Isn't it true? Like I gave you the example of my friends group. Those are the friends I have been very close to them from so many years. So I really value them in my life. And like I said, there was a time I used to constantly chit chat with them because my workload was very less. It was manageable. But there came a time in my life when the workload increased and it was not, the chit chatting was not allowing me to focus on work. I was making errors in my work. So that's when I decided to create a boundary, where I told myself, if I don't say no right now, I will hurt myself, I will hurt my work, I will hurt my performance. Okay. So reframe your inner dialogue, the inner thought process, which is pulling you away from doing it. So I might give you several statements that you can tell the other person to create a healthy boundary. But one thing that will prevent you from saying that is your thought process, where before you say that, you'll say no, you'll think 10 times, if I say that, maybe it will hurt the person. Should I really say, should I say no? He will feel hurt, or maybe he'll get angry. So think about, if you do not say no, what will it do to you? Will that make you happy? Or will it make you sad? Will it hurt you? Will it hurt you more than the other person? Reframe that. Okay. Now, another reframe. What if they get upset? What if they get angry? This is something that will come up in your mind. Reframe that to, what if I finally get what I want? Why can't you ask, instead of asking, what if they get angry? What if they get hurt? What if they get upset? What if I finally get what I want? That is my own space. In my case, in my example, what if I improve my performance by stopping that chit-chatting, which is non-productive work? If I stop that, what if I'm able to improve my performance? Nothing like it, isn't it? So remember, setting boundaries is not to push people away, but to invite the right energy in your life. Like we always say, when you're surrounded with the right kind of people in your life, you'll see yourself excelling in your career, in your relationships, in your health, in your finances. When you are surrounded by people who drain your energy, you will be constantly stuck in your life. Yes. So if you are currently feeling stuck in your life, think about what is that is draining your energy and making you stuck. You'll obviously get an answer to it when you look around at your immediate environment. You'll be able to identify people who are constantly draining your energy. And when you have identified those people who are draining your energy, which means, when I say draining your energy, what does it mean is, these are the people who are constantly in your mind. You're constantly thinking about them. They are draining your energy. So make a list of those people who are constantly draining your energy. And those are the people you need to set boundaries with. But many a times, we are not even able to practice it. Even though I might give you multiple reframe statements about how you can communicate it to the other person. But people hesitate to practice it. Why? Again, these same thoughts. I might end up hurting the person. That person might get angry, might get upset, might get violent. People think about the outcome, an outcome that they are not even known to, an outcome that they are not even 100% sure about. They keep thinking about that particular thing happening even before it happens. Many times you will see, when you set boundaries with a person in the right way, that person is able to acknowledge it. And like I said, gave you an example with my friends. Some of them were really upset at the initial time because they created a different perception, different picture of me not responding. When I clarified it and set a boundary, they respected my boundary. None of them got extremely upset or angry with me. No, nobody. So many times now I could have done the flip side of it also. If the thought bothered me, I could have said, oh, my friends are getting, there are 20 best friends. They are like, we used to have get-togethers and parties together at home. Like, losing out of all of 20 of them is a big loss in life, right? You need to have friends in life. So what if my thought stopped me from telling them, no, boss, this is my boundary? What if I thought, oh, I might end up hurting them. I might end up, they might get angry. They might leave me. If I kept thinking that, I will never be able to communicate my boundary. When I very politely communicated the boundary, they were able to respect it. They said, okay, Sajna, we understand, but do respond back after 9:30 p.m., okay? I said, that's fine. Yeah, I will always be there. So that's the practice. When Pratima talks about the practice, yes, that's a practice most of you are not able to do. Not able to do. So about boundaries, that's our session on boundaries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
Pratima.
Bye.